All right, guys, this is Mobile Gamer Nerd, and we are here with another Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play mystery shard only run video. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the heroes that I don't use, and it's not because I'm not going to ever use them. It's just that they've been in my vault, and we have yet to actually level them to 60. So we haven't been really using them in any of the videos that we've done over the last 2.5 to 3 years. We're almost at the 3-year mark now. So yeah, we're just going to kind of look at some of the heroes that we don't use and the ones that are just sitting in my vault. So we're going to start today with Ichi. We're going to go down from the top to the bottom. We've used all of our legendaries, obviously, because they're obviously very good. So yeah, we're going to go through the ones that we haven't. Let's look and see what she does. So basically, she attacks one enemy, has a 15% chance of placing an extra hit. She will ignore shield and block damage buffs, places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. So, I mean, that's not bad. Anything that could ignore shield and block damage can't be a bad thing. Places a 30% increased crit damage buff and a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. That's a really good skill, but I wish it was on everybody. But hey, she's a greedy, selfish hero. And whenever this champion kills an enemy, decreases the cooldown of the Crown Breaker skill, which is this one right here, which will ignore the shield and block damage. So that's actually not a bad kit. She's really good for single target damage. We've used her a couple times just randomly in just random content. But yeah, she's not bad. I don't hate her. She does reasonable damage, and that's kind of what she is. We're not going to go too much into Krakoth because we just kind of brought her up in the last video. But she's got a lot of really good skills. She does some shielding. She can remove debuffs. She can place revive on death, and she can do strengthens. Yeah, and she increases the value of all buffs. Shield buffs on all allies by 15% while this champion's alive. So that's actually a really cool skill. I don't think she's terrible. She's basically an advanced version of what's her name, Valerie, with a little bit of a revive on death. At least it gives you something. You know what I mean? A little bit of a revive. So if you're having trouble in the dark elves, I don't know why I said revive. If you're having trouble in dark elves, she could be a good hero to bring in there. But otherwise, yeah, there's nothing too remarkable about her. Magister, this is Apothecary's long lost brother. And yeah, what does he do? Let's take a look. So basically, he does an increased attack buff on a random ally whenever he attacks. So that's if it's crit, so you have to have crit. Places a revive on death and reflect damage buff on the target ally for 2 turns. Heals all allies by 10% of the target's HP. I mean, it's not a terrible skill. And attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a heal reduction of 50% for 2 turns. I mean, he's definitely no Apothecary. He is not good at like Apothecary, but he's not terrible. I mean, as you can see, he's got reasonable reviews. People do like him, and he can definitely help you get through the high elves if you need someone who can do revive on death. The problem is you have to die first for it to work, and you have to kind of plan it out where you put the revive on death on someone before they actually die. So it's kind of annoying. It's not as good as a actual revive, but it's definitely good if you don't have someone to revive. All right, Dune Strider. We actually love her. We got her a 5-star blessing, and she's really cool. We used her in a couple videos. But yeah, she hits like a truck. She has a 30% chance of placing a decreased defense, which is always good. Attacks 3 times at random. Each critical hit decreases the target's turn meter by 10%. Will only decrease the turn meter once per target. So basically not good for bosses. If you're trying to do a turn meter drop, it's just useless in that sense. You're better off bringing someone else who can do turn meter drop on every hit. She is not the one. So I wouldn't use her specifically for that, but I would use her for the 3 hits maybe in Fire Knight. Attacks all enemies, then attacks the enemy with the lowest HP. Has a 75% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff on the enemy with the lowest HP for 2 turns. So that's not bad. 100% is always good. And basically, you're just going to smack them in the face with and hit everyone, and then hit the last person who's got the lowest HP. Hopefully, the goal here is that you kill them. It's not even like it's something that you would worry about the heal reduction. If you see in the heal reduction, you probably didn't build her strong enough. Death Chanter, just kind of an orc. That's it. He places shield buff on himself, and the value of the shield is equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. I'm kind of weary about attack hits that give you shields, especially on rares. It's a little bit of a weird thing, but hey, a little bit of shield ain't bad, especially if you're fighting Scarab. He attacks one enemy, damage increases according to this champion's current HP. And then he has an attack on one enemy that places a heal reduction. Kind of a weird kit all around, not terrible. He's like an all-rounder for like random stuff, but I mean, I wouldn't choose him for anything unless you really needed it. That attack is enough to keep himself alive, so maybe just give him a ton of attack and maybe just keep a shield up the whole time. I mean, you never know. Put him in a team with someone who puts up more shield, right? Hellborn Sprite. She is really good, and I'm actually very shocked that I haven't decided to build her yet. Probably because we already beat Demon Spawn, but Attacks one enemy has 75%, I mean, 25% chance of placing a weakened debuff, which is not terrible. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a heal reduction. Once again, just another interestingly good skill, and that's it. But here's the fun one. She increases the duration of all allies' buffs by 1 turn, then places a 15% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns. So basically, you can use her as a buff extender, aka shield extender, or attack up extender, or pretty much anything. I know a lot of people will use her in clan boss for certain unkillable teams sometimes. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do it, but I haven't built simply because we built Demon Spawn. I haven't needed her, and we have Valerie to do this anyway, so I don't need her, but she's not bad. And if you definitely need someone for Demon Spawn, she's definitely a good person for it. Chandler Bing here. Attacks one enemy has a 50% chance of placing a heal reduction, so that's good. Attacks one enemy has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff, that's never bad. And has a 30% increased speed buff on all allies and fills the turn meter of all allies. So that skill right there is really the one you're using him for. So if you need someone to do a speed up on the entire team, well, bring him in. You could use him in the arena if you wanted to. Put him in there because he does increase turn meter, all right, and increase speed. So basically, you can just use him as apothecary, or what's the other one that I forgot her name. Haikatoon. Just use him for that. Get his speed up. I mean, his base speed is 98, so it's not the best thing in the world, but it's not terrible. If you give him a ton of speed sets, yeah, he'll give you your increase speed and fill your turn meter so you can go first in the arena. There you go. You gotta win there. Blood Mask. This guy just looks cool. All the shadow can look good. Attacks one enemy has a 35% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. Always good on an A1. Attacks one enemy has a 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Also a very good skill. And attacks one enemy has a chance of placing a stun. That's actually his least impressive skill, but it's a good skill to have. I mean, why not? Anytime you can stun someone is good. And now it's time for coffee. All right. So yeah, I would definitely use him. Great for bosses. I don't think he's great for waves though. Here we go. Solaris. Actually, I don't hate this guy. He has a 30% chance of removing a random buff from a target, so good for magic keep, things. Attacks one enemy, places a shield buff on this champion equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. Another one of those. So you're gonna have to make him attack based. And attacks one enemy has a chance of placing a stun. So yeah, he's reasonable. Once again, not good for waves, good for bosses, I guess, just because he can keep himself alive. But I wouldn't choose him. Definitely not the worst thing you could build. Tree Feller's actually really good. She's from the Orcs. She does do decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. We're actually probably going to build her pretty soon for Orcs because we have to beat Orcs still. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing poisons, and each hit also has a 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed. Always good for bosses. And then she has a 2-time hit that places bombs that detonate after 3 turns. Those can do some really good damage. So very good for bosses. I mean, if you need damage over time skills, well, there you go. She just has to stay alive long enough to actually have the bombs go off. Sorceress, she is a hero you can actually farm right in the beginning of the game. So if you need a good starter champ, this is definitely the one for you. Has a 30% chance of placing decreased speed, really good for bosses. Attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 20% chance of placing an extra hit, just good for more damage. And then 3 times at random, and each hit has a 30% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense. So basically a boss helper, support boss healer. She can do decreased speed and decrease defense, so you can do more damage and lower the speed and the attack output of the boss. So very good. Rock Beast. He's going to be one of my only void heroes that I can actually use. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. So that's good if you need someone. Damage increases according to this champion's max HP. Fills the turn meter by 50%, places a 60% increased defense buff, so he's real tanky. And then attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff, but it's based on attack, which sucks. I wish it was based on HP like his first hit, because then you could just build him with all HP and everything goes well, you know? But, I mean, ultimately, if you need a provoker, I mean, he can do it, but it's a 50% chance, and you get an extra 25. So that's 75% chance you could use him for Magma Dragon early game. Use him for a bunch of stuff. He's good for Ogun Tribe. We just haven't built him yet. He's also good for secret rooms where you need void heroes. Same thing with Arbalester. Good enough if you need a void hero for the secret rooms, but most people probably will surpass her by the time you even get to that room. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of transferring one random debuff from this champion to the target. Attacks one enemy, has a 60% chance of putting the target's skills on cooldown, and attacks one enemy. Damage increases according to the number of debuffs on the target. I mean, let's be honest, she sucks. But I mean, if you don't have anything else, at least she's hot, right? So you got that. Lone Blade Ryab. This guy just looks badass. I'll give you that. He's kind of one of the cooler looking heroes. Attacks 2 times, fills each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 5%, so that's always good. Attacks one enemy before attacking, places a 15% increased crit rate buff on this champion, which means you could use that with a less high, with a lower crit rate. So that's good. First hit has a 50% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense, and the second hit can place a weaken. So that's basically 2 debuffs in one shot. So that's awesome. And each hit from this champion deals an extra 5% damage if the target is under either one of those debuffs, and deals an extra 10% damage if the target is under both. So basically, accuracy, and then he does more damage. Boom, 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 and he's got cool swords. I love him. He's a pretty cool hero. Boltsmith. I can't say enough good things about this guy. He hits like a truck if you build him strong enough. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of placing decreased speed, so that's good. Places an increased crit rate and increased crit damage buff on himself, so only him. This is basically just a buff skill. That's it. It buffs him, and then you can go right in and attack one enemy and ignore 30% of the target's defense, which basically means you get your crit rate, crit damage, and then smack. And he does a lot of damage with that hit. So yeah, definitely good. And he does have an attack up aura, so you can use them in faction crypts to take down bosses a little bit quicker if you have a lot of support heroes. Fencer is actually one of the heroes we were going to originally build to 60, but then we beat that faction, so we stopped. This girl hits hard, like she hits real hard. Attacks one enemy 2 times. 50% chance, I mean, it's a 15% chance of placing a decreased speed for 15%, so that's good. Attacks one enemy, also has a chance of placing a stun. Steals 20% of the target's turn meter if the stun debuff is not placed. So at least you get kind of a bonus for not landing it. If anything, just don't put any accuracy on her and then let her miss the stun, right? I'd rather get the turn meter. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. So yeah, she's got an all-out AoE hit, and she has some pretty good uh, side things that she does, so that's not bad. I definitely like her. I would build her if you don't have anyone else good in High Elves. I think she would actually do really well in there. Magma Blood. This guy is a jerk when you fight him in campaign. He can place a stun on his A1. He has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff. I mean, I guess that's okay, but he attacks all enemies to do it, so you can drop the accuracy of everybody. And then he attacks 2 times at random. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing a bomb debuff for 3 turns. I mean, he's good enough. He hits pretty hard. I'm not against him. I'm just not for him. Cudgeler. This guy hits pretty hard too. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Has a 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit if the target is under decreased defense, so that's always good. Places a counterattack and an increased attack buff on this champion and grants an extra turn, so basically it's just a buff skill. And has a 20% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns when attacking targets with higher defense than this champion. Has a 20% chance of decreasing the damage taken by 20% when attacked by enemies with higher attack. So, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, you're just building him as attack. He's reasonable. He hits hard, and that's all that matters. Pounder. No one likes this guy, but you know what the funny thing is? I do. He actually got me through some fights. He attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing decreased attack, so that's always good on an A1. He has a chance of placing a freeze debuff, and if they already have a freeze debuff, he has a 25% chance on placing it on someone else. So basically, just keep attacking everyone. That's what you do. Increases the resistance of all allies by 15 for each active buff on this champion. So basically, with this guy, if you have someone who can extend debuffs, just freeze the first guy, extend debuffs, right? And then you have an extra turn every time to just keep placing freezes. So there you go. Just keep freezing everybody. You could use him as a wave clearer if you don't have an AoE damage dealer. So there you go. And he hits reasonably hard. Magus. We looked for her for a very long time, but then by the time we got her, we already beat the crypt. Attacks one enemy stunning. Good enough. She has a chance of poisoning on all enemies for 2 turns, but this is one of those skills that does not actually have an attack. All right, so basically that's good for like someone like the Dust Devil or Dirt Devil, whatever the hell his name is. Um, so yeah, you could use that there because it doesn't actually attack him while putting up debuffs. Attacks all enemies, then heals this champion. The amount by which this champion is healed is equal to the damage inflicted. So she's got a built-in life steal. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Avenger, another hero that just gets overlooked. I don't really love her, don't really hate her. She has decreased defense for 2 turns on her A1. She attacks random 2 enemies, right? Attacks random 2 times. So there you go. Has a 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. I mean, it's okay. And attacks one enemy. The skill is always a crit. She's good enough. She hits pretty hard, but I wouldn't choose her over anyone else. Let's put it that way. Wyvern Bane. Pretty good hero, actually, funny enough. She does decrease speed. She has a 35% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 20%, but this is why we like her. She's one of the few rares that actually has HP burn, so you could use her in the Spider, in the Doom Tower, or you could use her in Spider in the city. There's definitely a lot of places where her burning something will come in very handy, mostly with spiders. Guardian. This guy's actually really good. I'm surprised we haven't built him yet. Um, it's because we already beat the faction once again. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs on the target by 2 turns, so that's actually not bad. Attacks 4 times at random, good for Fire Knight. Each hit has a chance of placing a block buffs, so also not bad. And then places a block buff and a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also places a continuous heal buff. So he's good enough. He's basically a hero that is based on HP. See, with this attack, this one is based on attack. This one is based on attack and HP. So basically, just give him a bunch of HP and let him be a kind of a tank, but not really. He's a support hero. Justicar. I'm not gonna lie, I hate this guy. He attacks one enemy and increases this champion's defense by 3% up to 10 times in 1 round. I mean, good for that. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff. But so you could use that for, I mean, I guess for Magma Dragon if you really wanted to. And when he's hit with a crit, he counterattacks using his default skill, which increases his defense. Look, I don't hate him, and I'm sure that you could, make him good and make him useful, but I feel like all of your resources would be wasted because you could easily find someone better. If you're playing with the only heroes everyone gets, then guess what? You're going to have to build them because you need them for secret rooms. I had never used them, and we now have all the heroes from the secret rooms, so technically I don't ever have to build them now because I don't need to beat that secret room. Ordinator attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a freeze, always a good idea. Attacks all enemies and has a 50% chance of placing a bomb debuff that detonates after 2 turns, so that's really good. When attacked, has a 30% chance of decreasing all bomb debuff detonation countdowns on the attacker by 1. So that basically means you drop the bomb, it's got 2 turns, and then someone attacks you and they blow up. So that's good. He actually does reasonable damage. It's not that bad, but like I said, we just haven't built. We already built Dark Elves and beat Dark Elves, and there's so many good Dark Elf heroes that he's just going to fall behind. Dolar Lorekeeper, he actually does block active skills on his A1. He has a 40% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn if the target is under any debuff, so that's interesting. Places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places block debuffs buff on the target ally for 1 turn if they have less than 100% HP. So that's not bad. I mean, he's a good healer. He's someone you can bring in. Funny enough, we'll probably end up using him in our dwarf, but we also have someone who's better right now. We have a Veer. So do we need him? Probably not. But if you don't have a Veer, then yeah, go ahead, build him up. Ogre and Jailer. This guy is awesome. Really cool hero. He has a 40% chance of placing a random buff from a target. He also has a 40% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from the target. Places an extra hit if any buff is stolen. So basically, this skill hits pretty hard. Definitely a good hero for that. Attacks one enemy, damage increases by 20% if the target has no active buffs. So basically, you steal whatever buffs they have, then you hit them when they have no buffs, and then you go back to this where you have a chance of removing buffs and just keep doing that. Fun stuff, right? Knights Revenant Gladiator. Yeah, I like this guy too. And he looks badass with that infection on him. The infected armor. I love it. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns if the target's turn meter is more than or exactly 50%. So that's nice. 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff. Yeah, I mean, this guy's got some good skills. Attacks and 2 times at random. Has an 80% chance of placing a stun debuff if the target's turn meter is above or equal to 75%, which is usually when you're going to, need that stun is right in that first round. So more than likely it's going to stun him. And then he has an attack on all enemies. So it's all based on attack. Right? Yep, all based on attack. This dude's really good. I mean, he's got to have good reviews. Yeah, he does. Really good reviews. Really good in Minotaur, apparently. We're not going to review him. But really good hero, awesome hero. Ironclad. This is one of those heroes that if you don't know what he does, then he's terrible. But if you get him, you can make him good. Attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a heal reduction debuff. Good enough. Removes 1 random debuff from all allies, places an increased attack buff. Also, whatever. So basically, at this point, he sucks. All right? This is where he gets good. So when he's healed, he will attack all enemies, inflicting damage proportional to any surplus heal. So damage inflicted is equal to 50% of any surplus heal. So basically, you bring in someone like Apothecary, or you bring in three Apothecaries, and you just have them heal him one by one, and he'll just wipe the entire team out. So there you go. Fun stuff. Go ahead, look him up. He's got some great skills. Sentinel, another randomly good hero, but we just haven't built him because we have too many barbarians. He is barbarian, right? Yeah, okay, just making sure. He has a provoke 60% chance, basically up to 85% right here. So yeah, that's a pretty good hit. You could use him for Magma Dragon. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns, and a 50% chance of placing heal reduction. Also good for Fire Knight. And he heals himself by 10% at the start of every turn, basically. And this heal can be critical. So if he's got critical hit, he can just keep critical healing himself. And yeah, basically really good for anything that revolves around provokes, heal reduction, or just somebody needs to stay alive. You could put him technically in a destroy HP, maybe. Bring him in to the, what's his name? The Scarab King. You could use him since he'll just keep healing himself. Troger, Trugger. I actually like this guy, and I was gonna build him, but I have too many barbarians. I love this dude. Places an increased attack buff on this champion when he crits. He attacks an enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a stun debuff, and attacks all enemies has a 30% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all the target's skills by 2 turns. Awesome for arena if you want to stop somebody from doing something. Make him real fast. Bring in your what's his name, your channeler, and have him just speed everyone up, and then have him flop in and just drop all their cooldowns so everyone can only use their A1s. And there you go. You got yourself an arena team. Miscord. Boom. What do we got? Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed, so that's really good. Attacks all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter for each living enemy, and she places a counterattack and an attack buff on her. I hate those skills. They're kind of useless. If it attacks and does it, great, but just having a counterattack on a skill is, I mean, I'm sure it has its uses, but I freaking hate it. Assassin. This guy's really good if you need someone to poison early game for a clan boss. He has a 5% poison when he attacks for a 50% chance, basically up to a 75. He attacks one enemy, has a chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the enemy. So basically, you hit clan boss with all the poisons, and then you have him come in and increase the duration. Poison just stays up. Attacks one enemy, has 75% chance of placing a weaken debuff for 2 turns. So he can weaken the boss and then poison the crap out of him, and then basically just elongate all of those debuffs. Awesome, awesome hero. Flailer, this guy kind of whatever. He has a chance of decreasing target's turn meter by 10%, but it's a 25% chance, so not really reliable. Places a 30% increased defense buff on this champion and the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. Also fills the champion's turn meter. And he attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a provoke, which is a reasonable provoke. So you could use him in Magma Dragon if you're really lacking and have no one else that can do the job. Pig Sticker. I like Pig Sticker. She does heal reduction on her A1. She destroys max HP, so you could use her in Scarab King. And she also attacks 2 times and destroys the target's max HP by 30% of damage inflicted. So basically, she's got a lot of destroyed HP. So really good for Scarab King if you need it. I don't think they really have a, yeah, Phantom. Sand Devil. There you go. Sand Devil. I always want to say Dust Devils. Skirt. All right, whatever. Hospitalizer. I like Hospitalizer. Attacks one enemy. Also attacks all enemies. Has a 50% chance of removing one random buff from each target, so that's really good having that ability, especially if you get an entire team of block damage. Places a 15% increased speed and increased crit rate buff, so that's really good too. And this is only good if you have Harrier and no one uses Harrier, so otherwise you can revive random ally. But otherwise, really good hero either way. Fortress Goon actually got us through Ogren Tribe. He is awesome. Got us through at level 50. Funny enough. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing decreased speed debuff. Attacks all enemies and has a 40% chance of placing a heal reduction debuff, and heals all allies by 10% of their max HP. Places a 30% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is what kept us alive, was his heal. We stayed alive long enough to beat the faction crypt on 21 with this level 50 Fortress Goon. So yes, he is awesome. I love him. Build him. Gator, another hero that everyone likes, but I just never got him to 50 because we were able to beat the crypt without him. He does heal reduction, but this is it. He does his attack up, and he can also remove all debuffs from all allies. So yeah, just a good support, all-around support hero. That's it. Bring him in if you need him. If you got a bunch of attackers that are really good, this will help you keep them alive. So there you go. Rocktooth, easy enough hero to get. Honestly, he doesn't really do much except hit again when he crits, which is okay, I guess. He places a crit on everybody, which is not great, but it does attack all enemies, so that's good. And then he attacks one enemy for heal reduction. Really, basically just good for heal reduction early on for Fire Knight and for the Spirit Keep, but otherwise I wouldn't really think about using him. Lamber, Lamyber, Lamyber. He's cool. I actually like him. I put him in a sleep set, and it was kind of fun in the beginning. He attacks 2 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of filling a random ally's turn meter, so it's all over the place. He attacks everybody and does a continuous heal, which is good. And he heals a target by 25% of the max HP and does a revive on death. So if you don't have a skinwalker that can revive, well, there you go. You can at least put him in the team, keep everyone healed, and then if they accidentally die, you can put that revive on death, hopefully in time, and you'll be good to go. Vagabond is a hero that is actually pretty damn good. Um, he attacks one enemy, 20% chance of placing a sleep debuff for 1 turn. She also has a chance of placing block buffs debuff for 1 turn. Also fills his champion's turn meter by 15%, and fills the turn meter of the ally with the highest turn meter by 15%. She also does a full turn meter fill here, 15%, and places a 25% attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. I mean, essentially, she's just really good. I mean, that's basically it. All right, the last one for today, because we have a lot of heroes, as you can see. There's many more. We're going to stop with Mr. Gloral, and we'll do a part 2 to this. So this will be part 1. But let's take a look at him. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Attacks one enemy. Damage increases by 5% for each debuff on the target. And then attacks one enemy, places a 15% crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns if this attack is critical. This is where he's kind of interesting. He attacks one enemy and the damage increases for 5% for each debuff on the target. So basically, if you bring him into like a clan boss, maybe that could be something interesting. If you put him in a like the War Master, I mean, it could be something interesting, or killing bosses quickly. Maybe it does a lot of damage. I haven't tested the theory out. I'm going to go with most people don't think he's good, but we haven't tried it yet. So I can't say yes or no, but he's definitely someone that I'd be interested in seeing how he does and what he's all about. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, things you want to talk about, things you want to discuss, if any of these heroes you think are worth building first or second or third or even 10th, whatever you want to do, leave a comment below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You help this channel grow. And we do a live show every single week, so we'll be doing that on Friday this week. And if you're interested, you become a member for $1.99 a month. You basically just help support the channel. You get access to all my videos as soon as I post them. You get emojis, and you get a video every week that has no commercials and my undying love. You know how it works. And you get to look at this bearded bastard all the time. Look at this with his mohawk. It's like, yo, bro. He looks like this is what Hawk from Cobra Kai looked like when he got old. This is what he looks like when he gets older. He's got a giant beard and a mohawk. All right, guys, this is all the dumb heroes that I put in the vault and I should be building, but I haven't. This is Mobile Gamer Nerd. And you guys take care.